Hi everybody, I'm Fenichel. Today's lesson we're going to talk about part 3 of the traditional grip, and we're going to weigh out the pros and cons of the grip, of the style, and how it's useful in today's drumming. Why is this good? Why is this bad? It's good in the sense that it gives you kind of a feeling of letting go. You don't have as much control of the stick essentially, so you're relying more on the stick to bounce and rebound when you're playing a traditional grip. This is great for when you're playing jazz, which is why a lot of jazz drummers play this way, because it really gives them this kind of relaxed feeling of letting the stick just go and do its thing. But you do sacrifice a little bit of control by doing that, so it takes a lot of extra practice to get in there and really make that happen. Now, the other problem is, generally traditional grips in your left hand and your weak hand. If you're right-handed like I am, we're talking about using less muscles in our weaker hand. Let's face it, even if we talk about our pinky in our right hand, you can develop that. That pinky is actually giving you some power. You notice there's my thumb and pinky, or my middle finger, which has a tremendous amount of power. And as I mentioned before, those two fingers are completely out of the equation. So now those two muscle groups, those two muscle areas that are driving that stick in your strong hand are no longer driving that stick in your weak hand. So you're relying on less muscle groups in your weaker hand to do the same job. So some people would argue that's not very efficient, and it makes the drums a lot harder to develop. Now, of course, so many drummers have gotten over that handicap, and in their traditional they sound amazing, and it's just from hours and hours and hours of developing it and practicing it because they really respect and enjoy the style. Stylistically, it feels great. Okay, there's really no physical benefit. If anything, I would say there's a physical handicap to playing in this style. So it's more of a style thing, if you like how it feels, if you like how certain things respond. Okay, another thing is actual arc of the stick. If you notice in my traditional grip, just because I'm already pretty much turned up, I don't have too much arc. That means the stick can't come back all the way in my wrist unless I practice stretching. Now this is a stretch. This is not natural or comfortable. Or bringing my elbow in, which is really not natural or comfortable. So now I don't have this natural stretch. But in my right hand, I could easily point to the ceiling and even twist and go further if need be. You see that? So match grip automatically gives you that. Without even worrying about it, you have all this extra power because you just have a bigger range of motion. I would definitely argue logically that the match grip makes more sense because you have more fingers on the stick, you have all the muscle groups, everything's even, and being that you're trying to get both hands to the same place, going about it the same way is a lot simpler. So there's a lot of things that the match grip offers that the traditional does not. Believe me, there's many students I discourage from actually practicing in the traditional grip just because of all these little handicaps. So why do students get into it? Like I said, stylistically. There's been great drummers in the past that use it. There's great modern drummers that are masters at this style. It looks really cool. It has a nice thing. But if I was to be completely honest, the only reason I studied traditional grip was because I felt like I got looked down upon a little bit in college by the upperclassmen. They pretty much looked at me as a rock guy, not a jazz guy, because I played in the match grip. So I forced myself to learn this style. Now, I would argue that that's probably not the best motivation for learning to play this way. But it is what it is. I'm not going to say I regret learning that style. I am going back and trying to get my match grip playing up to the same speed as my traditional grip. But it is a stylistic thing, and there's definitely things I enjoy in this style that I just don't get the same feelings in the match grip. And that's just due to practice. It has nothing to do with one grip being better than the other. Basically, it's just a matter of how well and how often and how much you practice this stuff in the right form. So those are your reasons for getting in and out of the traditional grip. One other benefit to this style is the fact that you're using slightly different muscle groups. So if you're playing a traditional grip and you switch to match grip, it's almost like you hit the reset button. So now you have a place to go if, say, you get tired in that weak hand. You could kind of use it as a handicap to switch back and forth. Again, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's the kind of thing where if you do feel like switching, if you're getting tired one way, you can always go back the other way, and it gives you something new to draw on. I'm not going to go too crazy with the techniques and ways of developing this in terms of practicing, because pretty much practicing it is the same speed techniques that we're going to talk about in the speed section. But I just want to make sure that you guys are in the proper form and developing this from the start the right way. Again, just to review, remember our fulcrum comes from letting it drop. Then you want to bridge your index finger and your ring finger. Then you want to practice your twisting gear, turning the doorknob, going back and forth until that feels natural and comfortable. You're also going to find it's a little difficult to practice backbeats, strong hits. Now I'm doing an informal whip stroke there in the down position. But without getting too crazy with technique, essentially, that's going to feel very different than if you come from a match place. And it's going to take a little bit more of technique and mechanics to turn your hand and get into the right feeling. In fact, I don't have that at all in my right hand. It feels totally alien and awkward just because I've never done it that way. And of course, if you really want to get crazy with this, I do so many of these exercises in the Drummer's Almanac where we get in here and we really work on finger and hand technique. And I do a good job of switching between match grip and traditional grip all the time to show you guys how to develop and get in and out of this. Really, the only way to develop it, in addition to learning how to do it, is getting repetition. Getting into these exercises that are going to really make the difference in making this feel natural and comfortable. So if traditional grip is your goal, there's a great place to practice and develop it, and that's thedrummersalmanac.com. Okay, that's going to wrap up this lesson on traditional grip, and until next time, have a good one.